With just 38 days until the election, both presidential candidates are sprinting through the swing states. They're trying to win over every voter they can in a very tight race.
Now Hillary Clinton's camp says it's gaining momentum after the first presidential debate Monday night, and Donald Trump is stepping up his attacks on Clinton. Caitlin Burke has the story.
Both candidates may still be claiming victory after Monday's debate, but the polls show that Hillary Clinton is the one gaining momentum. Data experts say the Democratic candidate appears to have gained a point or two in a race that had basically become a toss-up. And that gain may be temporary, so both candidates are still pushing hard for every vote.
Either Donald Trump or I will be the president of the United States. And so people have to look carefully in making their decision about who to vote for, because it will be either him or me. And I am going to do everything I can to make sure it's me.
With the next debate only 10 days away, Trump is reportedly resisting attempts to change his approach, even as top Republicans call for more serious preparation. Instead, he's pressing ahead with his aggressive strategy and focusing on winning over new voters, keeping up his attacks on Clinton's record.
She and her financial backers will say anything, do anything, lie about anything to keep their grip on power, to keep their control over this country.
Trump may also go after how Hillary treated the women that her husband, former President Bill Clinton, had affairs with. This after Clinton brought up his treatment of a former Miss Universe in the first debate.
He called this woman Miss Piggy. Then he called her Miss Housekeeping because she was Latina. Donald, she has a name.
Where did you find
her
this?
name
Where
is
did you find
Alicia
this?
Machado.
Trump says he held his tongue in the debate to avoid embarrassing Mrs. Clinton. Now he's seeking to tie her to her husband's scandal-marked presidency.
The American people have had it with years and decades of Clinton corruption and scandals. Corruption and scandals. And impeachment for lying. Impeachment for lying. Remember that? Impeach.
With this presidential race as controversial as ever, it remains tight, and there are still 2 debates to go. In the end, our next president is highly likely to come down to the battleground states and voter turnout. Caitlin Burke, CBN News.
Well, elections are always won on voter turnout, and we encourage you to make sure that you're registered to vote. If you don't know if you are, there's a way you can find out with just going to cbn.com. There's a place to see if you can still get registered and participate in this wonderful election. I, for one, am going to be very glad when it's over, and I will pray that we can become one nation again, that at the end of this kind of divisive electioneering, politicking, can we really unite again and say, well, we've got a lot of problems in the world today. We need leadership and we need unity. Well, in other news, some Republican attorney generals are trying to stop the Obama administration from giving up control of the naming system on the internet. John Jessup has that story from our CBN News Bureau in Washington. John?
Thanks, Gordon. Those attorneys general have asked a federal judge to block that transition, saying it's unconstitutional. Congressional Republicans also tried to stop the move, but failed. The United States has overseen the Internet's naming and numbering scheme for decades, but President Obama decided to completely hand over control to a nonprofit organization with no ties to the U.S. government. The Obama administration says the move has been in the works for a while. Critics warn it could endanger free speech by letting parts of the Internet fall under the control of dictatorial governments. Well, investigators are trying to figure out just what caused the deadly train crash in New Jersey. More than 100 people were injured, and a 34-year-old mother was killed. Eyewitnesses describe the shocking scene.
We ran over, and there were a lot of people kicking out windows, trying to exit the train. We threw the air, traveled about another 40 feet, and the train flying into the depot.
You just heard like a kaboom. The whole place shook.
Investigators are trying to figure out exactly how fast the train was going. They say they want to talk to the engineer. They've also recovered the train's black box from the wreckage. Well, a coalition of African-American leaders met here in Washington Thursday to denounce the positions of the Democratic Party. While no one endorsed a specific candidate, they did say it's time to stop voting personality and start voting according to platform.
then we vote our morals and values, and then we can vote our conscience, and then we'll decide what candidate fits it.
The biggest issues they addressed were abortion, religious liberty, and the deterioration of the family. The coalition believes the future of the black community starts at the polls. Well, more than 1/3 of the world's nations sent presidents, kings, princes, and senior officials to honor former Israeli President Shimon Peres, including President Obama, former President Bill Clinton, and Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas. The pioneer of modern Israel was laid to rest today in Jerusalem after he died at age 93 Wednesday, 2 weeks after suffering a massive stroke. Here are some of the sights and sounds from today's memorial service.
Shimon lived a life of purpose. He soared to incredible heights. He swept so many with his vision and his hope. He was a great man of Israel. He was a great man of the world. We find hope in his legacy, as does the world.
He imagined all the things the rest of us could do. He started off life as Israel's brightest student, became its best teacher, and ended up its biggest dreamer.
מתכבד להזמין את נשיא ארצות הברית, ברק אובמה.
I could not be more honored to be in Jerusalem to say farewell to my friend Shimon Peres, who showed us that justice and hope are at the heart of the Zionist idea. A free life in a homeland regained.
Gordon, he was a towering and iconic figure in modern Israel.
He was a towering figure in the world. This is the end of an era. This is, we need to mourn this passing because it means the last of the generation that founded Israel is now gone. And it's up to us to carry on that ideal, what President Obama spoke of, that people, the Jewish people, could live free in their homeland. That's the ideal, and it's been the dream of the Jewish people for centuries, going back to the expulsions back in Babylon. It's been their dream. Can we live free in the promised land, the land promised to us in the Bible, the land of our forefathers? And let's continue that ideal in our generation.